Hi, this is Brendan from Watto Training, and in this tutorial we take a look at an overview of the HC manoeuvres from the QSafe driving assessment, which is conducted for Queensland applicants. The information in this tutorial comes from the QSafe Driving Examiner Assessment Procedures Manual. What defines a HC heavy combination vehicle? We've got two dot points here. The first one, a prime mover of more than 15 ton GVM with at least 3 axles and semi-trailer with at least 2 axles. A truck more than 15 ton GVM with at least 3 axles and a trailer more than 9 ton GVM with at least 2 axles. QSafe. QSafe is Queensland's current practical driving test designed to evaluate a person's ability to drive safely and correctly in different driving situations. It is a performance-based assessment as opposed to a competency-based assessment. QSafe is based on performance checks. A performance check is an important aspect of the driving task that the examiner is required to assess. For example, steering, road position, and so on. A driving examiner won't assess an applicant on an item outside the performance check. For example, an applicant will not be asked by the driving assessor to conduct an under-the-bonnet inspection in the assessment as it is not a performance check. This is the driving assessment report form. Working from the top left, we have applicant's details. Section A, specific driving situations. These are all the driving situations an applicant will experience in a driving test as selected by the assessment route by the assessor. Then working down, we have Section C, pre-drive checks. Section D, operational skills such as clutch, accelerator, gears, steering, braking, road position. Working from the top right, we've got the manoeuvres. In the middle section, we have the assessor's feedback. And then bottom right, we have hazard recognition and decision-making skills. That includes things such as observation scanning, mirrors, signaling, judgment, speed control. Let's take a little bit of a closer look at the manoeuvres for Class HC. We've got the reversing exercise, the hill start, gear changing, and uncouple, recouple. You can see in the top panel that a tick is placed in the circle next to the manoeuvre that is selected by the driving examiner. Performance checks also apply to manoeuvres. So for example, if an applicant does not stop and give way to an approaching vehicle during a straight line reverse in a HC assessment, it will be recorded against the judgment performance check for failure to give way. So we can see that in the manoeuvres that the performance checks such as judgment are marked off on these different errors here, and I'll take a look at what those errors are shortly. Driving errors. QSafe has a set criteria based on errors which are recorded by the assessor. Non-critical driving errors, critical driving errors, general critical driving errors, and specific repeated driving errors. Non-critical driving errors. This is a driving error that does not by itself compromise safety to road users or the safe operation of the vehicle. Critical driving errors. This is a driving error that compromises the safety of any road user or indicates an inappropriate level of skill or ability. General critical driving errors. The examiner intervenes either verbally or physically, yelling stop, for example, grabbing the wheel, using the dual controls in a car. A dangerous situation is created by the learner's driving, which results in another road user being forced to take evasive action to prevent a collision or any other danger. The learner disobeys a direction from a police officer, school crossing supervisor, and/or authorized traffic controller. The test vehicle strikes another object, such as the curb, sign, or power pole. In the example below, we have a straight line reverse being conducted by a semi, and it's reversed up onto the curb. This would be a general critical driving error. The other type of error is a specific repeated driving error. A specific repeated driving error is marked when an applicant accrues 6 non-critical driving errors for a certain performance check. In the example we can see below, it's signaling. So if there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 non-criticals, if the applicant committed a 6th, it would be marked in the SRDE and the assessment result would be unsuccessful. Now there are more information on the error types on the Watto Training YouTube channel, so I haven't gone into those in any further detail here. But before the driving assessment starts, the DE, the driving examiner, will read the following message to the applicant. The designated statements to be read to the heavy vehicle license applicants are: QSafe is designed to evaluate your ability to drive safely and correctly in different driving situations which may include a variety of speed zones. I will be asking you to undertake a series of driving tasks throughout the assessment. You'll be given clear directions in ample time. If I don't give you any specific directions, please just follow the road and be directed by road signs, signals, and markings. If the vehicle is fitted with driver assist devices, for example GPS, speed alarms, park assist, or easy start, please turn these devices off for the duration of the test. Do you have any questions? Now let's take a closer look at the manoeuvres for the HC class in the QSafe driving assessment. In QSafe, there are certain manoeuvres that must be assessed for the different classes. The key issues that you need to be familiar with are the types of manoeuvres that are compulsory for the different classes, the requirements for each of the manoeuvres, the conditions on locations where manoeuvres can be conducted, the performance checks and scoring criteria used to assess the manoeuvres, the required test wording to use when directing an applicant to undertake the manoeuvres. So here are our compulsory manoeuvres and optional manoeuvres for the driving assessment. So we've got the reversing exercise for HC, gear changing exercise, hill start, and uncouple recouple. Reversing exercise requirements. Reverse the vehicle in a straight line over a distance of 40 to 50 meters. The manoeuvre should be commenced from a position parallel to and within 2 meters of the left road edge or curb. At the completion of the exercise, the vehicle should be parallel to and within 2 meters of the edge or curb. The applicant should be given 2 attempts to successfully reverse the vehicle. In each attempt, 1 correction is allowed. This exercise should be undertaken predominantly using the mirrors when observing to the rear. An occasional glance over the shoulder is allowed. For dog trailer combinations, the applicant should be given the option to reverse with or without the trailer steerable axle locked. Okay, what will the wording be like from the driving examiner? And this is the general guidelines. I'd like you to undertake a reversing exercise. Could you please stop the vehicle within 2 meters of the curb along this road? DE points out the position. Thank you. Now reverse the vehicle in a straight line for approximately 40 to 50 meters, ensuring that the vehicle remains within 2 meters and parallel with the left curb. Please do this maneuver predominantly using your mirrors. Note, occasional glances over the shoulder are allowed during the maneuver. So here's a diagram of the maneuver that is required. Okay, the next one, gear changing requirements. With the vehicle in motion traveling along a road with a level surface or slight incline, change down the gears to a lower gear, excluding crawler gears. The highest gear in the lower range is sufficient where the gearbox has a dual range. On vehicles fitted with 5 or 6 speed gearbox with constant mesh in first gear and synchro the remainder, applicants are only required to change down to second gear with the vehicle in motion. If the gearbox has a facility for splitting gears, the applicant may be asked to split gears while changing up during the exercise. If the automatic gearbox has a facility for downshifting, the applicant will be asked to downshift to a lower gear. Note, it is unnecessary to ask the applicant to undertake the gear changing exercise if the above requirements have been demonstrated by the applicant during the test. For vehicles without a range change facility, the driving examiner will say, along this section of road, I'd like you to change down to the lower gears while keeping the vehicle moving please. Thank you. Please now resume normal driving according to road and traffic conditions. Note, for vehicles with constant mesh, only in first gear. The DE should direct the applicant to change down to second gear only. For vehicles with a range change facility, the DE will say, along this section of road, I'd like you to change down through the gears to the lower range. Thank you. Please now resume normal driving according to road and traffic conditions. Note, DEs may need to clarify that there is no requirement to change down to crawler gears. Hill start requirements class HC. Move off smoothly from a stationary position and travel up a moderate incline without rolling back. Note, in class HC vehicles, not moving from a parked position, the trailer brake should be used to secure the vehicle when waiting to move off on a hill. This is to avoid activating the spring brakes. The DE will say to the applicant, I'd like you to do a hill start ahead, please. Would you please stop parallel to the curb, indicate a location? Thank you. Please drive off when you're ready. HC uncouple, recouple. An applicant for a class HC is required to uncouple the trailer, drive forward approximately 10 meters, and then reverse back onto the trailer to recouple, ready to drive off. The applicant should be able to uncouple and recouple the trailer, having regard for all safety practices in the correct sequence within approximately 12 minutes. The DE will say, I'd like you to undertake the uncouple-recouple exercise. Please uncouple the trailer and drive forward about 10 meters. After that, could you reverse the truck/prime mover to recouple as if you were coupling to a different trailer? Thank you. As we move off, would you please apply the trailer brake to test its operation/function? Now, there's a dedicated tutorial for the HC uncouple-recouple procedure on the Watto Training YouTube channel, so I haven't gone into any further details in this tutorial. Thanks for watching. This has been Brendan from Watto Training.